Magic Super Souls, welcome to this channel. Thank you for joining me and happy Christmas. I can't believe this is Christmas Day 2022. It's amazing that we are here. I am actually recording this a couple of days ahead of time as I will be with my family. And may I please ask, Super Souls, whenever you tune into this reading, may we please all of us who are gifted enough to be having a really good time with those that we love over Christmas, may we please spend just a few moments holding the light and thinking of all of those people for whom Christmas is not such an easy time, okay? Because there's a reality to that. You know, Christmas can be utterly amazing. It can also be really, really challenging and really difficult. Super Souls, we're an amazing community of people. You guys are inspirational. May I ask that during these readings that you hold light, or take time perhaps after the readings, take some time, just hold some light and send out that love in your hearts to all of those for whom Christmas may be a little bit more challenging. So without further ado though, wonderful, wonderful people, let us draw 3 cards to guide you in. Now this is actually your weekly guidance from Spirit. It happens to fall on Christmas Day. I post these readings every single Sunday and we ask Spirit for information about your world right now. Obviously these are going to have a little bit of a different flavour because these are Christmas Day readings, which is really, really exciting. We're going to draw 3 cards to guide you in and a rune and a charm as well. Reading number 1, your card is Electric Eel Spirit. Bring your ideas to life. Reading number 2, Dolphin Spirit. This and that are true. That is your card. And Panther Spirit. Reclaim your power. Okay, now we're going to draw a rune and a charm for each. For those of you that like that little bit of extra information, extra energy. Okay, so reading 1, you have the rune of the warrior, the spiritual warrior. Reading number 2, you have the rune of constraint. And reading number 3, you have the blank rune. Let's draw a charm for you as well. Reading number 1, you have an anchor. Reading number 2. Okay, reading 2 and 3 are coming out. So reading 2, you have the Tudor Rose. This is the charm. And reading 3, you have a feather, but it's a very, very direct, quite pointy feather. Okay. So Super Souls, as always, I will leave the video running for a few moments longer just to give you a little bit of extra time to really focus in on the cards, the runes and the charms. The timestamps are in the information box below and I will see you in the readings. Tons and tons of love to you all and happy Christmas. Hey beautiful reading number 1, this is feeling like a Christmas gift for you. Electric Eel Spirit, bring your ideas to life. It's such a card of validation and excitement and energy coming in, whether it's a brand new idea or something, anything arriving in your world. This is a kind of go for it, take action kind of energy around it, and particularly with the rune of the spiritual warrior. It feels like it's got a decisive energy. Anchor it and make it real. Bring it to life. That's what's really coming through already in your reading number 1. Let's see what other cards we are shown today. Okay, let's have a look at what we have here. We have, wow, Sister of Shambhala shows the way. I want to say, look at you dancing ahead. This is take a leap, make the move, do it. Now, these Sunday readings, it happens to be Christmas Day, which is so super exciting to be doing this reading for you today. I do these readings every single Sunday. I know some of you guys do follow them, and they are really about weekly guidance and here and now. This one honestly feels like a Christmas gift for you. It really, really does. Look at this. You have the Force. This is the card of strength, but it's about power and force. You have trust. We have the Circle, a loop of energy coming in here. King of Trees, Architect. Wow, reading number 1. King of Stars, Alchemist, Three of Angels, Clarification. Now, I'm going to need to move the cards along. Let me pause so that I can do that. Okay, reading number 1. You can hopefully see every card now here. I feel like this is an incredible Christmas gift to you in terms of validation, affirmation, letting you know that if you have an idea or a thought or something you want to bring to life, if you've actually stopped over Christmas and it's given you a little bit of space and time in order to evaluate or slow down enough or get off the hamster wheel enough to have that room for thought and an idea, a spark, a new opportunity, a new something has come into your world. This is a monumental affirmation for you. You will be given the strength to see this through. This is time for you to be the architect of some form of change, some form of action. Your pathway will be made clear. You are guided. You're probably an old soul. You've come here. If you haven't been sure of your calling or your purpose and you get an idea, super souls, listen to that idea. This is absolutely just delightful. It's heavenly. It couldn't be. I sort of almost feel I don't want to add anything to it, though I will actually draw some more cards for you just because I'm sort of curious as well. But I almost want to leave it in its purity as a message that feels like it feels such a gift, a Christmas gift for you. Something is coming into your world. I think, an idea, a spark, something new. It's time for you to pick it up and run with it, whatever that is. Trust that it will work its way through. The pathway will be clear. You've got, Sister of Shambhala shows the way. It's like the holy ones are walking with you. That's what this card is all about. Whatever it is, bring your ideas to life, anchor them into reality, make decisions, make choices. Do so. This is so alive, so electric, so vibrant. Well, reading number 1, there's a little bit of me that's like chuckling to myself and thinking, oh, well, that's it then. That's it for reading number 1. But actually, I think we should draw more cards just to ask to see if there is any more guidance or any more information that should be coming through for you. But it feels like a Christmas gift. It's magical. It's wonderful. I am just sending you every blessing, every Christmas blessing in the world. Whatever it is, in your personal unique circumstances, you could not have a better or a bigger affirmation, and like a call to action. If you don't know what your calling or purpose is, just trust, and if you have an idea, follow it through. It's just going to take you in exactly the direction that you need to be. Let's draw some more cards. I'm really excited for you, reading number 1. May we ask for more information, any information about perhaps what these scenarios, I feel I guess it's going to be one of those readings where we draw different batches of cards. Because it's a generic reading, there will be different bits of your life that are going to kind of be, I think will be shown, different areas of your life. It doesn't feel right. That one does, as does that one. Okay, super good. Let's look at these cards and see what else we're shown. We've got these different bits of your world. Okay, so first scenario that's come through. is to do with, gosh, it's actually, this is very, very interesting. Right, if we think of your calling and your purpose, the first scenario we're seeing here is about you sharing something, you're bringing something, illuminating something to other people. So maybe people who've been hurt or damaged or are in a state of conflict, you have something to share that will help them to illuminate how those difficulties can be processed, how they can do the deep dive and come back out again. If any of you are having have had a spark or a thought or a calling, either to become a counsellor, for example, or do some kind of healing work, this is an absolute confirmation. This is helping people to heal, bringing information to light, sharing information that helps people, maybe even mediation, to see both sides of the story and find a resolution, to come out of a place of deep hurt, deep psychological confusion. And yeah, it's the healing, the fixing, the moving beyond it, the illumination of something. For some of you, that may well be the calling. If you have any inclination or thoughts around how you might be bringing something forth, it could even be sharing your own experiences. But whatever it is, this is about healing. Healing people who have been emotionally, psychologically and psychologically wounded, traumatized, and you illuminating or bringing something to them that will allow them to rise from the depths, to come back out. If you have any ideas, a spark or a thought around it, then that is worth pursuing, and that is what this reading is saying to you. Let's look at scenario number 2. Okay, 6 of Cups, 6 of Wands. Now this is very interesting. Very interesting, because this feels very psychological and emotional. This feels more like coaching, you know, or having an idea that will allow you to, you could become, this is slightly, it's different. There's still leadership here. There's leadership, there's being in the spotlight, there's, it's different. This feels more one-on-one. In a way, one-on-one kind of healing. This feels like taking your gifts to a whole higher, new and more public level. Public speaking, coaching people, coaching groups, taking workshops, being a guiding light through being more public in some way, shape or form, being able to demonstrate how people can move step by step by step from something, how people can, it could be like inner child workshops. I'm not saying this wouldn't connect to some form of therapeutic work, but it feels more dynamic and as if you would have a much more public role. It could be teaching, it could be connected to children, or indeed even helping people to connect and bond with animals. But there's a much greater public face to this particular scenario. So if you have some idea, some spark or some inclination to take something forwards, create a movement that people can follow, it could be connected to animals, to children, but it's enabling people step by step to learn, and you will be taking a much more leadership, more public role. So scenario number 2, if that kind of an idea is coming into your world in any way, seize the moment, act on it. Okay, scenario number 3. Now this is interesting. This is very, very interesting. This, interestingly enough, feels more like exploring. It feels more science-based to me. If you have thoughts and ideas about something that might be quite science-based, quite alchemical, connected to manifesting, for example, helping people to connect and understand their choices, or to look at different perspectives, see what works and what doesn't work, hence the sort of science aspect of things. If there is anything to do with research, to do with research, the science of things, the way in which we ponder problems, philosophy, science, you know, university type stuff, you know, following a PhD or in something, or taking something and working out how to technically move it forwards through I won't say trial and error, but, you know, experimentation. Yeah, if there's anything kind of science-based, any kind of study that's coming through to you at the moment that you have an idea around, it feels as though, you know, again, go for it. Such a validation here. And lastly, okay, we have the card of Temperance and the High Priestess. Now this suggests to me that there's a particularly spiritual element going on. Now you might find that more than one of these potential scenarios that we've drawn cards about relate to you, to an idea, to something that you would like to do, or that you have been thinking of. King of Stars, Alchemist. The card of Temperance is very interesting. It's a card of balance. A card of higher vision, connecting to a higher self. The High Priestess, channeling information. Now for some of you, if there's anything that connects to your psychic abilities, connects to doing readings or channeling information or guiding people spiritually, stepping into a greater role from a spiritual perspective, this feels very much as though there's an aspect of spiritually guided, spiritual guidance in some way, shape or form. Very, very interesting. Helping people to maintain balance, to hold the light in some way, shape or form. Very interesting scenarios. Very, very interesting scenarios. All of them do feel connected to some aspect of a calling, a purpose, a vocation, something that will in itself allow you to feel complete, happy, to enjoy your pathway of contribution. You know, really, really, it is as if windows of opportunity, a spark of an idea, something is around you. Super Souls, your Christmas reading is really offering you an invitation to become electrified in some new direction, some opening, taking something further forwards, whether it's building on something you already have. For many of you it is brand new, or it's an idea that will take something into a different realm. These are just a few potential ideas and thoughts that have come through. All of them feel like a vocation or a calling and a purpose as much as a kind of a standard career pathway. I feel this is a point in your own soul's evolution when there is an opening coming to you, and that's what the essence of this reading is about. Reading number 1, I'm sending you the biggest Christmas hug ever. I'm really, really excited about what this potential might be for you. Do keep us posted here on the Moon Magic Tarot channel. You know, this is a beautiful community. You guys are so inspirational. Thank you for being a part of this amazing community, and thank you for the support that you give each other. This feels like a magical point in your life, with things opening up for you that are, that it's doing what you came here for. It's that kind of stuff, and openings coming to you, ideas, and the reading is really saying it's time to anchor them into reality. Start to manifest this, make it real, take action, do it now, trust, act on those sparks of an idea. The timing is perfect for you. Reading number 1, sending you all the love in the world. I look forward to seeing you for some other readings. If you want to get all of my readings into your stream on YouTube, if you subscribe and press the little bell icon, they should show up for you. I do post readings every single Sunday, and this is a Christmas reading because that's where we are today. Tons of love, and also just that brief reminder, thank you also all of you for holding the light for those for whom Christmas may not be as easy a time as it is for everyone. It can be a really, really mixed bag, so thank you for being part of this community. If we all hold that light together and send those prayers out into out into the world, out into the universe in every possible way. Collectively, we really can make a difference. And I can already see from this reading that the essence of who you are is really, really about to potentially move forwards into a whole new avenue of your own pathway of fulfillment, but also contribution. It's a great honor to read for you. Happy Christmas and tons of love. Happy Christmas, reading number 2, beautiful reading number 2. You have Dolphin Spirit. This and that are true. You have the Rune of Constraint, okay, which often says that something constraint is around you, something can't actually physically be moved forwards in the immediacy of now, but I'm hearing for you to come up for air. Okay, there's a coming up for breath. Dolphins breathe above the surface and then do another deep dive. You know, they live in more than one kind of world, more than one space. The Tudor Rose is interesting. I'm not going to say anything more about that. I'll just place that card here and we'll draw more cards and see what we are shown for this reading on Christmas Day. Even though, of course, this is actually my normal weekly usual reading that I always post for weekly guidance every Sunday, because this happens to be Christmas Day, it has a very different feel to it. So what cards are we shown for reading number 2? What Christmas message is here for you today, whether you're tuning in on Christmas Day itself or at another time? Okay, let's have a look and see. You have Grace in Full Flight. Okay. You have Trust. This was in reading number 1. Wow. Okay, that's very interesting. Okay, you have the Trust card. Then you have Knight of Stars Adventurer. You have, this is the equivalent of the card of the Fool. You have Beginning, the beginning, Initiation. You have 9 of Trees, Refinement. Wow, and another beginning card, Ace of Angels, Wisdom. Okay. This is very interesting, reading number 2. Grace in Full Flight, coming up for air. Okay. The Tudor Rose, it's an interesting charm. I always feel with the Tudor Rose, it suggests that some form of conflict is coming to an end. Now today is Christmas Day, if you're watching this on Christmas Day, or that's the energy. Ultimately you can find these readings at any time, but you are being asked to refine something before moving forwards, to see it for what it is. You're emerging, you're coming up for air, you're coming through something and out the other side. That's really clear. You're emerging from a situation. I think you have actually held this situation with grace. I think you have been contributing, giving, probably holding quite a lot here, really. Look at the way this tree is holding up the moon. You've really had the moon here again with the beginning, the initiation. I think you've had to hold the higher ground, okay, over something, but it's coming. It's coming to it. It's going to come to its completion. It's going to work its way through something. Cross the T's and dot the I's. That Rune of Constraint also says, you know, when fishermen can't go to sea, they mend their nets. Your Christmas message today is, don't be afraid to move forwards. Refine your ideas, but don't be afraid to, don't be afraid to move forwards. Don't be afraid to let go of something. Need to draw more cards for you, reading number 2. What is this about? Maybe we have more information. There's the essence of a new beginning. There's something about the steps, that the way that you climb through this, take it forwards, that requires some more refinement, some more thought. There's more than one way of approaching this. Cross the T's, dot the I's, think about it before taking action. May we have more information for reading number 2. Now, these readings I post every Sunday, and they are readings where we look at what's happening right now and the guidance for the week ahead. It feels a little bit different because it's Christmas, but this is a card of getting out there and celebrating. Knight of Stars, Adventurer. Grace in full flight. Death and rebirth, we have a new beginning. Refinement, we have 5 of Wands, climbing a ladder. 5 of Cups. Four of Swords. And then the 10 of Swords. This is a completion and a space of new beginnings. You're in a really interesting place, reading number 2. Okay. Now, if I put aside the fact that this is a Christmas reading for one moment, and just to despite our Christmas gifts here, mistletoe and rose hips and beautiful berries and ivy and yes. Something in your world is you're at a point of a completion and a new beginning. On the one hand, I'm seeing you celebrate. I really am. I'm seeing there's something of a celebration. You've done something and you've achieved it with good grace. Okay? And despite the Christmas celebrations, we must always read it as we see it. You've actually been dealing with something that literally, at times, you felt like you were barely coming up for air. You've handled it with absolutely brilliant grace. You really, really have handled it. There is real cause for celebration because there is now a point where coming up for air is genuinely humanly possible. You know, something's going to come to its completion. You've had to work out how to do this amidst, on occasion, I think some element of competition from somebody or something, an environment that's been quite a little bit challenging. You've actually really handled it though. I love that you've never once let go of, even if you've been pulled in different directions. You know, literally this way and that. This and that are true. You know, when you come up for air and then you back in the deep dive again, it's like there's more than one world you've been dealing with, more than one perspective you've been dealing with. Literally more than one world for some of you. You've had to dive in and pick up things in somebody else's world, as well as trying to navigate and hold your own. But you have done it with absolutely good grace. I really, really, really wish to honour you, and I wish to voice that, and your spirit team, I just feel, are doing exactly that in this reading. You've never lost sight of the light, even though there were times when this situation could really have got you down. It may even have, you know, yeah, it will have got you down. It may have felt like it was wearing you down a little bit. You've never lost sight of the light or of the right way to do things. You've needed to retreat on occasion, literally, because it will have taken quite a lot of energy. That is now coming to a close. It's reaching its point of conclusion. Okay, let's move these cards up. I know, forgive me for the moving of cards. I know sometimes in the comments, bless you and thank you, because I really appreciate your feedback. Sometimes people would say, gosh, I wish you didn't move the cards around, but sometimes I kind of feel I want to so that we can see everything. And I think that, yeah, that is possible here. We may do another layer of cards for you, reading number 2, but nevertheless, let's just see what we have here, because this is showing new beginnings, initiation. There are still steps to be taken to really move through and forwards. What this reading is really acknowledging is how much you've actually grown from this. It's like you've gone full circle in a strange way. Something's gone full circle. There is a feeling, it's really interesting, there's a feeling of both excitement for the potential new here, but also a bit of trepidation. Perhaps that's not quite the right word. But yeah, excitement, perhaps the trepidation, just a recognition that this needs to be done step by step. Whatever you've been handling, it is coming to a completion. Take your time. You've never lost sight of the light, even though you will have been stretched on occasions. You've never once lost sight of grace, of kindness, of care, of compassion. You've always held that wisdom. You've ultimately held that light, even if at times the situation was a challenge to do so. You've always held the light, and that's huge. It is coming to an end now. You really have been diving in and out. The conflict is coming to an end, or the situation, it hasn't been a conflict for some of you, a direct conflict, but it has stretched you and pulled you and taken you into more than one world simultaneously, and however that has played out for you in the uniqueness of your own situation, it's held you back. It really, really has. I am going to draw more cards for you, reading number 2. I'm going to get out a completely new set of, another set of tarot cards, a different set. It's very clear what has been going on. It's clear that now, today, in the immediacy of what's emerging, that it's now time to be emerging. Let's ask if we can be given information about how this is now going to move forwards, or any information that can be given to you today about taking this forwards now. I might draw some runes for you too. They often give quite a good indication of timing. Runes are super lovely in that way. Let's look at these cards first. Queen of Wands is your first card. 9 of Wands, loving it. 9 of Discs. Ace of Wands, there's your beginning, the harvest coming in. We have the 5 of Swords. Okay. I'd almost say that your circumstances have felt a bit bittersweet. You know, there have been phenomenal life lessons gained from what you've been doing. However, simultaneously, it's been a hard pill to swallow on occasion. But it actually is coming to an end. What's actually happening here, reading number 2, is that you are reaching the point where the physical circumstances are coming to an end, that there's a completion. It's run its course. The actual happenings, the events are coming to their completion. We're seeing circles everywhere, completions here. And it's almost as though this is the point where you integrate. It's like you suddenly realize you've developed all these extraordinary skills from this situation that can now be used, refined as it were, to take you forwards. So even though things have been quite difficult, quite limiting, quite challenging, it's like there's a silver lining, basically. And this is the point when what you're being shown here is that this is the turning point. So this is the point where you can begin to see the silver lining. You can begin to integrate the silver lining into the reality of your world. I will draw some runes as well. They do sometimes show timings for us a little bit, or give us an indication. Okay, what have we got in the way of runes? So your first rune is the rune of openings. That's super nice. There's 2 others coming through. Oh, this is lovely. We have the rune of openings, we have the rune of ice, and the rune of joy. Now what these 3 runes really are saying is this is the turning point, it is the opening. What has been stuck is now actually going to shift. The rune of joy is a fruit-bearing rune. It's like carried across the gap by the wings of heaven. It's that moment where you ride over something. I mean, look at this, grace in full flight. It's like literally flying over something, leaving the obstacle, flying over the obstacle, not being hindered by the circumstances anymore. Things are opening up. What was once stuck is now going to be transformed. It's that silver lining into joy, the benefit of the wisdom that you've gained. We are at a genuinely significant turning point here. That is what we're being shown. I'm going to do a tiny little bit of energy shifting in this reading, just to kind of help that along a little bit. If you're new to me and my readings, I do some energy shifting sometimes, and I'll say a little bit at the end of just this particular reading about Patreon. I'll just explain in a while, because I'm doing a tutorial about using crystals and healing within readings, but I'll plonk it on at the end. At the very end of this reading, I don't want to intrude into the reading, but we'll do some energy shifting. What I would ask you guys to do, because you've been through quite a lot, there's been a lot of constraint, a lot of deep diving, a lot of having to be in more than one place, that you almost like when you just need another 24 hours for every day, that kind of stuff. Now this is definitely a turning point. The way forwards does need to be thought through and refined, but the energy is shifting and opening up. We're seeing that very clearly for you, and it's this point where the learning is integrated within you and becomes an extraordinary set of life skills. You'll always carry the resilience that you've gained from this forwards. The energy shifting, we're going to move this rune of ice into a more flowing energy. So I would ask you just to sit with this as it is, have a kind of a listen. We focus on this particular rune of ice, and maybe also the card here of constraint and the dolphin spirit. This and that are true, having to handle more than one perspective, having to handle different people's viewpoints, having to handle different scenarios, different circumstances, integrating different things, you know, a lot of external stuff going on. As you focus on those particular runes and cards, really notice where in your body, if there's any sort of lagging energy, if there's any essence in your physical body, because emotions clog up the body if we aren't able to process them, and you are reaching a point of absolute definite turning point of processing. So sit and notice and locate where there is any tension in your body in relation to this card, these runes, and these runes here, and this Tudor rose. Just sit with that for a second. Okay, so I'm now going to bring in an amethyst point. This is an amethyst crystal. Amethyst is known as a master healer. Very powerful energy. And bring in this energy of healing into our reading. And what we're going to do, so sit with that experience in your body and kind of breathe into it. You know, think about what you've been through whilst looking at this card, this deep diving, coming up for air. Just allow yourself to breathe into that experience whilst knowing that it's now coming to an end and it's time to come above ground, above the water, so to speak, for air, kind of permanently. As you take in those deep breaths, we are breathing into where you've been and into that area of your body where you're holding that tension. And then literally we then breathe out that tension, knowing that that opening is here. So if you do that kind of breathing in exercise and then breathing out, and as you breathe out, I'm going to bring in this beautiful crystal. I'm going to point it to the past, and we're going to shift this. So breathe into this now. Ooh, and then breathe out. We're going to take that flow. So the ice can now melt, things can now shift, the energy and the timing is ready for you to move forwards. It's time for you to be looking ahead, no longer tangled in the way, in the number of things you've had to be carrying. Yeah, that is coming to an end. Beautiful reading number 2. This is a very powerful reading. I suppose we never know what to expect when we do a reading, and this is a weekly reading. Christmas is an interesting time because it does bring a focus to things, often because we can stop for a day. It brings a focus to things that we've been tackling. Sometimes it's only when we stop we really notice the toll it's taken. If you find yourself still carrying any residue, you know, doing that exercise of breathing into how it's been and then exhaling so that you release the tension from that space wherever it's held in your body, and do it as often as you need to. Come back to that point in the reading if that's helpful. It's all about allowing energy to now flow. You know, we ourselves, if we look through the strongest microscope in the world, we ourselves are made of energy. Everything is made of energy. And your reading here is an affirmation that it is time for something of the energy that's been around you, a circumstance to complete its circle, as it were, for you to have ownership of all that it gave you in terms of the life skills, the silver lining, the learning, and take those forwards into a space of new beginnings that are now going to be allowing you to flourish, ultimately, to create new beginnings. And we have a lot of, you know, 2 aces here, Ace of Angels, Wisdom, Ace of Wands. You know, this is a super good turning point. So, beautiful reading number 2. I am sending you the biggest hug in the world. Thank you so much for being here. Even though this is a Christmas reading, it does feel like a major turning point for you, and I'm thrilled that that is coming. And whatever has been a challenge or you've been handling, I just want to honour the fact that you've been doing so with such remarkableness. So Super Souls, I am sending you all the love in the world. This is actually a weekly reading, even though it's on it's a Christmas day, but that's because it is. And I post these readings every Sunday. I look forward to seeing you for some other readings. If you subscribe and press the little bell icon, you should hopefully get all of them as soon as I post them. I do post a whole collection of different readings ongoing, often answering specific questions. But anyway, I'm not going to go into that now. Let's complete this reading. I'll just say a little bit now about Patreon for any of you who are interested in that. Patreon is a different site. It's a site where people make an ongoing kind of contribution. It can be as little as $1, but it's where people commit to some kind of ongoing support in support of the things that in this instance that I do. I have a whole free online library that has it's a completely free resource about emotions and psychology. And on Patreon, as a thank you to my Patreon people, and thank you so much, you are really appreciated because of their ongoing contributions that support things like my library. Every month I do a tutorial for them. It's just for Patreon people only. And this month, I say this month, what I'm about to do in January's tutorial, as we enter January 2023, is a tutorial where I am going to be talking about how we use crystals in our readings to enhance the way in which we channel, and also how to use them in healing. So that is the tutorial, and that's why I said I would mention it, because it might interest some of you. Super Souls, thank you for being here. Have the most wonderful Christmas. Take a breather. Come up for air. Come up for air also knowing that it's time to release any residue of the circumstances you've been dealing with. There's been something a bit bittersweet to swallow, and it is time to move forwards. There's such an affirmation of this for you. I mean, gosh, with the rune of opening and the rune of joy, it's just there. Tons and tons and tons of love to you. You are remarkable people. Happy Christmas, Super Souls. Reading number 3, beautiful people, happy Christmas. And You have Panther Spirit, reclaim your power. You have this very direct feather charm. Oops. And the blank rune. I feel a bit like you're waiting to pounce. I don't know if that's going to make sense to you, beautiful super souls. I do. I feel this waiting, this blank rune, like you're waiting to pounce or waiting to make your move. It does feel unbelievably empowering, this card. Let's draw more and see what we are shown on this very, very wonderful Christmas day. Let's draw some oracle cards and some tarot. May we ask, what is the message for now and indeed what's about to emerge in the next few days, the next week, for reading number 3? Those two. Right, let's have a little look and see. So, this is just, you can't kind of, as the saying goes, you couldn't write it. Look at this, fearless, and then quest. Wow. Okay. What kind of a mission are you on? Reading number 3. It does feel like you're on a mission. You're waiting for the timing to be right. And when it is, boom, 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 you're going to do it. You're going to make it happen. There is some really interesting astrological stuff going on that is beginning to really move things forwards, even though there's some reflection still taking place. Anyway, let's not dive into that just yet. I will do so if it's relevant. King of Stars, Alchemist. You have the card of transition. You have the card of hoarding, 10 of stars, and the force, strength. This is so interesting. My dearest lovely, reading number 3, I think there is something you've held back from. This card of hoarding. Again, it's almost like the timing hasn't been right. You either have genuinely just not felt as though you could have a voice. Circumstances maybe inhibited you in some way. It's really interesting. It does feel like there's this coiled spring waiting to move on, happen. But it is with purpose. There is a real purpose to this. There's a strength, there's a force. It is an alchemical kind of change within you. You overcome something. Now, maybe you overcome an inability to have a voice, or you overcome some form of procrastination. Yeah, maybe you literally overcome, or there's something you've been building up to, rising up to, almost like stashing the different components, hoarding the different ingredients, accumulating the different perspectives in order to then move forwards. But your reading is really clear. You are about to shift. Whatever you've been building up to, it's about you. There is something in you that is about to move it forwards. Fearlessly, with courage, with strength. Panther Spirit, reclaim your power. This is all about courage, dynamic action, something you have been waiting with, sitting on. Yeah, sitting on maybe. But this feels like a reading of, Louise Hay always used to say, the point of power is in the now. And she's right, because if we are contemplating what has passed, then a part of our energy is connected to the past. If we're anticipating what we would like, a big chunk of our energy is in the future. the key to empowerment is to somehow gain the learning, the hindsight, the message, the everything we need to know from what has happened, holding it with clarity in terms of what we wish to create in the future, and taking action now. This feels like a taking action now, being on a quest, being on a mission, holding your pathway really clearly. I feel like there is a reserve of energy that becomes available to you, and that is the message. This is a weekly reading. They're kind of timeless readings, but because it's Christmas, it's probably especially not necessarily timeless in comparison to some. I post these readings every Sunday, and they really are about weekly guidance, messages right here, right now, and what is about to emerge. And of course, it's Christmas, so there's a very special difference to these readings. But I feel like this for you is a point of power. You see something clearly, you can say something clearly, you're ready to take action in some way. It's like you have the courage to hold your vision and go for it. Okay, I mean, whatever this is about, keep us posted. I'm excited for you. I'm going to move these cards up, and we are going to draw some more cards from another tarot pack. Can we ask for more information here, please? More information. What's happening? I'm taking those 4 or 5 even. Yeah, those 5 cards, I am taking those straight away right now as they've come out. Right, what is happening for reading number 3? King of Cups. This is very, very interesting. We have the King of Cups. We have the 8 of Pentacles. We have the 4 of Pentacles. This is something else. Reading number 3, this really is. This is the card of the Lovers. And we then have the Hierophant. So, wow, reading number 3. King of Cups is very energized. You know, he's got emotional empowerment. Your emotions, think of your emotions as energy in motion. But the interesting thing as a king, the energy of this king, obviously non-gender specific, but the energy of the king is, even though he's emotionally aware, he's emotionally in tune, he can set sail. He has the energy to set sail towards his dreams. We have the starfish. Here it's the singing bowl. It's like his energy is resonating. His emotions are in alignment with where he wants to go. He can put his emotions, his heartfelt energy, he can place that into the things that he wants and be empowered on that basis, on that position. You know, this is really interesting. It reminds me of something. It was actually a little podcast of something that my sister sent me, and I'll voice it because it's really interesting. It was speaking about some experiments. I think it might have been Princeton University. I'm not actually sure, and forgive me if I'm wrong on that. But they were doing experiments on the power of the mind, or the power of intention in terms of our capacity to actually genuinely manifest something in real terms. And they looked at, I guess I would call it the power of the masculine and the power of the feminine. Non-gender specific particularly, but nevertheless they were looking at the empowerment of the masculine, the empowerment of the feminine, and they found that the masculine, you know, they were looking at predominantly guys and women, but nevertheless they found that with the masculine there was often a more accurate manifestation on intent, but it didn't necessarily manifest in a big way. So the clarity of intent, of goal-driven energy, was very good at creating what was wanted, but only in small quantities. When they added the energy of the feminine, which was the emotional energy, the energy of the feminine on its own was, some days it would kind of work, some days it wouldn't, because it tended to be a much more windy path. It tended to be a bit more jumping from one thing to another. So the passion, the emotional energy would be connected to one thing, then another thing. It wasn't as goal driven, but when it delivered in a big way. it delivered in a much bigger way, but it was a bit more haphazard. When you joined the two together and you harnessed somebody who was very, very strong in their masculine energy and someone who was very strong in their feminine energy, you harnessed them together, particularly if it was what they called a bonded relationship. So it was two people that were really united, singing from the same sheet. You know, irrespective of that connection, I think they achieved, it was something like 7 times greater, their capacity to manifest in real terms. It was like they needed the goal-driven, targeted energy, could be really then empowered by the emotionality. And I voice it because I feel like this is a reading that is somehow the alchemist. It's like you're pulling together within yourself. I'm not saying there won't be somebody else in your world assisting you, particularly with the card of the Lovers here. But I do feel like you are able at this point in time, reading number 3, to harness the masculine and the feminine within you. And this is worthy of really bringing into your meditations and your daily practice and the way in which you are approaching, really, I suppose, a new year. And harnessing the masculine and the feminine, it's like the combination of that energy is now available to you to transition, to bring force and strength and direction, empowerment to something. Whether that's having a voice on something you've been sitting on, you're ready. 8 of Pentacles, this is such an energy of manifesting in real terms. You know, we see these pentacles, we see these stuff here. It's like she's able to kind of hold that vision here. 4 is interesting for me sitting here on these other cards here, because the 4 is telling us, you know, telling us about something that maybe you have been sitting on, something you've been holding on to. If something's been, I will venture to say, if anything's been pissing you off, but you haven't felt you could take action, now's the time to kind of release that. Choices become available to you. The Lovers is a card of choice. And I feel like the universe seriously has your back here. We've got this pathway forwards. It really is as if you're being guided. You're on a mission, you're being guided, and you're doing something that is going to be right for you. I would even say as well, if there's something you've been holding on to or something that's held you back, it's almost as if that energy itself can become a driving force. You know, it's where our emotions, energy and motion, are really helpful to us. And you know, there's a difference between emotions in the present, when somebody pisses us off and we say something and we do something and it inspires us to do something. It's like, that's not right, I'm going to do that. And so we're using that energy of not okayness to channel it into something that is okay. You very often find people who are incredibly successful are very often motivated by things that weren't right. You know, people who've had real hardship in life. Once they can process that, if they can harness that energy, that emotional energy, so rather than having an energetic roadblock inside of them, they can harness the energy and it empowers them to move forwards and do something different. It's when that energy is harnessed, not only do we, you know, we can literally pick you, and we talk about people who are driven or on a mission. It's very often something that wasn't all right that drives them to create something that is all right. And I do feel there could be an element of this around you. If something's been said or done, or you've been sitting on something, you couldn't have a voice. It's now time for the very essence of that energy that you've been sitting on and holding on to. It's like something can be let out of the bag. I do think for some of you, maybe someone is coming in to support you, that connection between the masculine and the feminine. Now, you are either bringing those elements together within you in a manner that really gives you such a clear quest of focus. With your emotions charged, it may feel a little unusual for you, but actually you can do this. You can now take significant steps in the direction that you want to go in over something. Now, it could be lots of different areas of your life. It could be more than one area that you're focusing on. You could be literally, you know, aiming high in more than one area of your world. but with a clear focus. This is a super reading, reading number 3. With a clear focus and a dedicated connection between your mind and your emotions, between the divine masculine within you and the divine feminine within you, the harnessing of targeted, clear thought, that quest, that vision, that clear direction, alongside the emotionality of anything and everything that you desire, and that includes things that haven't been right that you want to put right. That energy is really, really going to move you forwards. I mean, you're going to be laughing about this. And if that includes connecting with somebody to bring something forth together, I'm seeing that unity here, whether it's a unity within you or a unity with another person. This is a super, super, super reading. Reading number 3, and I'm really thrilled for you. What an amazing energy to have on Christmas Day, when we are now moving towards a new year, when we set often New Year resolutions. New Year resolutions are intentions in essence, aren't they? You know, sometimes we talk about what we're going to give up, but you know, if we set a New Year resolution, I'm going to let go of that or whatever. It's because we actually are intending to move forwards differently. I feel like you guys have you've kind of had enough of waiting for something, and it is as if the energy within you is rising. You've been sitting, waiting, and you're kind of ready to claim it. Okay, you're ready to start out on that quest. Put aside things that previously have held you back, and to say, do you know what, I'm going for this. I may not even know exactly how this is going to pan out, but I'm prepared to go for it. Reclaiming your power. Reading number 3, I am loving your reading. I don't feel we need to say any more. I just want to say happy Christmas. Have the most amazing time. This is the week ahead. I mean, you know, we are asking for guidance for the next 7 days. Super Souls, focus, get focused, you know, do a vision board, start to get in tune with your, start to align and get yourself in tune with the setting of New Year resolutions, not just for a moon month ahead. We've obviously just had a new moon, so your wishes and intentions may actually be very uppermost in your mind, but really looking at how you actually target your fundamental energy, your thoughts and your feelings, your passions, to be able to begin to move things forwards for a very targeted, very clear new year, the year ahead. Sending you all the love in the world, Super Souls. If you're new to me on my channel, if you want to get notification of all of my readings, if you subscribe and press the little bell icon, they should come into your stream. Just tons of love to you all. I am so excited for you. It's an awesome reading for Christmas Day. Sending you all the love in the world, and I look forward to seeing you in the next readings. I do a ton of extra stuff. I will put all the links in the information box. I have a monthly draw where I give away a free private reading. It's a subscriber offer. I have a free online library which is full of resources for you to use emotionally, especially actually emotionally and psychologically. There's all sorts of stuff that I do, tutorials on Patreon for those people who actually support me on Patreon and you know, they commit to a regular payment, and it's super sweet, and I'm so grateful to you all. Thank you. And that supports my big online library, but I do free tutorials, especially for those people, as a thank you. So there's a ton of stuff I do. I'll put all the links in the information box below. Have an amazing Christmas, have an amazing week, and I look forward to seeing you really soon. Tons of love.